Good morning and welcome. All right, so I'm excited today to have with me the one and only Angelia Vernon Menchan. She is such an inspiration to so many of us, like everybody that interacts with her on social media, or we have any involvement or connection with her. We're always blessed, even if we don't. She may say
Agree.
something sometime to make you say, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble now."
What a
But I just
reputation.
absolutely love this woman with my whole heart. She is, she is an author and a publisher. She's an entrepreneur. I mean, she wears so many hats. She's a wife, a mother, a grandmother. She has so many roles. But in the midst of all of that she does is the foundation of love. And that's what we want to talk about today. As most of you know, the Marketplace Ministry is about sharing the love of God outside of the church walls. And this woman is a prime example of ministry that does not need to be restrained or confined. And so today we're going to talk about the importance of love in what we're doing. And we're going to talk specifically about what her ministry offers. And again, I want to welcome to this platform someone who's very dear to me, Ms. Angelia Vernon Menchan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I can say thank you, Reverend Jamesina Green. Okay, I like that, Rev. Very nice.
That's
Mhm.
funny. That's funny.
No, I see your title there.
So,
I just think it's appropriate to notice it and admit and acknowledge it.
thank you. I've never been one of these people. I was raised in the church. Both of my parents were preachers. I was ordained at age 17, but I just never really got caught up into the title thing. And I know some people use the titles and they out of respect, but then I know so many others that use their title as a means of feeling superior to other people. And I don't ever want to get to the place where the needs of people are not important or not the basis for I do whatever I do. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. I'm humbled and honored that you would even mention that. Thank you so much.
I love watching the journey to there for you
So,
because I don't know how long we've been friends on Facebook, but I've watched you go to this place and you should be acknowledged. It's not about titles. People know who's just about a title and who's sincere in what they do. People know, whether they admit it or not.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate that. So today I wanted to invite you to sit down with me to talk about your ministry, and it's called Just Love Ministry. Can you tell us the premise of the ministry, how it came to be, and what exactly is it that you do?
Yes. Initially, just love was a phrase. People always are amazed when they say, "Well, when did you start mentoring?" And I say, "In third grade." And they was like, "How is that even possible?" And it's possible because Miss Andrews, my third grade teacher, was my pastor's wife, and she and the first and second grade teachers got together and asked if I could become their tutor because I did well in school, and they wanted to promote me above my grade, but my mom wouldn't allow that. I'm still struggling with that, mama. But anyway, that's how I was really born. But But the real meat of the ministry occurred when I moved here from being a Job Corps counselor for 4 years in Oklahoma. And I was no longer a counselor. I had gone back into the budget and contracting field. And I needed to do something in terms of talking with young women. And initially, it just started with talking to friends of my sons, who were young women or someone he was dating for advice or whatever. And then as time moved on and I started writing in 2006, it's hard to believe that on the 25th I'll be published for 18 years. The third book I wrote was
Wow.
entitled Is No Not Clear Enough for You? And the premise of that book was we promote a lot of things, but sometimes the thing that we miss out on promoting to our young women is the ability to say no. And it's not just no to sex or drugs or alcohol, but it's just no to things that don't feel right. Or, you know how easy it is if you're walking around with your girlfriends and they start picking on another girl to just get caught up in that, even if you don't
Right.
say or do anything, you're a part of that machine. And that's where that came from because I'd seen it so much. I noticed that I was always a person that basically stood alone over to the side, but I saw both sides of the field, though have girls and the have not girls, the pretty girls and the not. And it was just something that always just bothered me immensely because I was raised by people who never acknowledged our looks in our family. People say, oh, the Vernon girls are so this or that. And they would always say, no, they're smart. They're smart. And that was something that stuck with me. So
Yeah.
after that book, in my writings, and I was going to speak to groups around the city and in my hometown. I was often called into schools. So in 2017, when I decided I was going to retire, I decided that Just Love Ministry would be my ministry. And the premise of it initially was workshops, journals, and conversations. And that worked extraordinarily well for a really long time. And I had people who would purchase, I published another book at the request of an author friend, um, Sister, You're More Than Your Assets, which was a growth version from his No Not Clear Enough for You. And I was really surprised by how well people responded to that. I remember my goddaughter Renata purchasing, I don't know, 100 books for the incarcerated girls. And then I would go to places like Pace, and counselor Nikki Figgs, she would allow me to read the book and she purchased the books for girls to read. And that really became a way to reach young women because they would respond so well to what they considered the real language. They said that I spoke in their language, I understood. And more importantly than anything is I shared my own failings and shortcomings. And I think that's what a lot of ministers fail to do is mention that they're flawed and they have shortcomings and they don't always have the answers.
Yeah.
And as a result, that turns young people away. And I became known as just being honest and real and
Absolutely.
open. And you can say anything to me. They know I'm going to lead with prayer. They know I'm going to end with prayer. But in the between times, we can talk about almost anything. And young people have responded to that. But
Yes.
Just Love Ministry morphed during COVID into something entirely different. I noticed that a lot of people were like, if only I had $50 to get groceries or diapers or whatever. And I was like, I can do that. I can give $50 because I have a couple of people who every month donate to my ministry, and then I have sporadic donations. But what I decided
Yeah.
was that the books that I sell bring money. The I started creating oils and soaps and emollients, and those bring money, and those are the way that I mostly 90% of the time fund Just Love Ministry to be able to do little things or even bigger things
Wow.
because I started doing many scholarships, maybe 6 or 7 years ago where I would like give a girl $100 and a journal with her paid picture on it and some other little things. But last year, for the first time, I was able to do a $750 scholarship plus other things. And then this year I will get to do two scholarships. Because you know what? The funny thing is the way God works. The more I started doing these things, the more my books and other things sold so that I would have the provisions.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
times when people say God provides, they're saying, "Oh, God provides." They mean in terms of giving them more. But if God never provided me with anything else, I've been provided for above and beyond. So what I do now is I use whatever resources I bring in during my retirement, basically to support my ministry and to support humans. And I do it with just love. And my just love isn't touchy
Yes.
feely, huggy kissy all the time. I will hug you, I will kiss you, and I will tell you the truth with the
Yeah.
same mouth. And for some, that doesn't work, and for others,
That's right.
it does.
That's right.
It does
That's
work, and that's why my workshops or whatever I do, the same people come back over and over and over again. And I will say that doing this with you is challenging for me,
that's
not
right.
with you per se, but just doing it because I'm always avoiding anything that I think is going to bring attention. I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, she's hustling, trying to sell books or whatever." Because I don't know if you saw my interview yesterday with Jeannie Blaylock on Channel 12 News, but I wavered on that for a long time, even though it was talking about breast
I
cancer.
did. I did.
Yeah, because my thing was never just like, okay, this the books and all those things that she showed was a choice that she made. I just wanted to talk about the breast cancer walk because I
Yeah.
tell people that, and they look at me straight. You know, God decided that I would have breast cancer. He also decided that I wouldn't be sick from it, though I'm very tired sometimes, that I wouldn't need radiation and chemotherapy because he knows his daughter. The first thing I thought of when I felt better is how can I use this to to assist others? And that's what the whole interview was and other things that I have coming up is.
Yes.
And I mentioned that because that's the new arm
Absolutely.
of Just Love Ministry because my mother died from breast cancer, my Aunt Alice passed from breast cancer, and I've had several cousins who were survivors. And so many women, I tell them all you need are breasts.
Wow.
And my way of just loving them is through information, encouraging them to do what they need to do. And if Just Love Ministry can buy you a couple of bras, then we'll do that too.
Yes. Oh, I just love it. I love it because you minister, quote unquote, to every aspect of a person's needs, like purchasing bras. I mean, like who would think that that's a part of ministry? But it is.
Yes,
When
it is.
I think one of the reasons why yeah, I think one of the reasons I feel like I do and why I started this whole marketplace thing is because I grew up with parents that were not just preachers, but they were givers to the point where sometimes we would be like, oh my God, they're just going to give away all our stuff. When we were kids, I watched my mom take bags and put our clothes in from